Welcome back, Scott Ferrell Show. Thank you so much for being part of my day. I hope you got your coffee. Now that we've talked about breakfast for dinner, you're probably going to go home tonight, whip up the waffles, the pancakes, a little bacon, some eggs, get into Jamie's, pop in a movie or something, be ready to go. All right, my guest today is Don Cote. LifeWorksUniversity.com is where you can find him. Don's one of these guys that started with nothing and made something. Why do I have him on the show? Because he started with nothing and made something. That's why. Success is a habit. Success is a form. Success is repetition. Don's giving people the secret on how to be successful. It's a shame. It's not really a secret, but most people think it is. Don, thank you so much for being part of the show today.
I'm excited to be here, Scott. Thank you.
All right, Don, let's go first to your website, then I'm going to get to your story. LifeWorksUniversity.com. Can you explain what that is and what you do?
Sure. Well, I had a very, I guess, difficult upbringing. Came from a very poor background, uneducated family. My dad showed me how to work with my hands, so we bought some real estate and fixed it up, and I became pretty successful in my 20s. But that was in the 80s. In the early 90s, we had a big real estate crash, and I lost everything. And that's when the rubber met the road, I guess. That's when I figured out that, you can learn how to be successful, but when you lose everything, you've got to figure out how to get back on your feet. And I did that. I was able to figure out how to get back on my feet. Took a little bit, and I had some friends that asked me to teach them how to do it, and they had some friends that asked me to teach them how to do it. And after a while, I was teaching people how to become successful. I call it human resilience. The thing that there's lots of things that knock us down in life, but most people never get back up again. Those few people that figure out how to get back on their feet are the ones that ultimately become successful long term. And that's what LifeWorks University is about. I took that little system that I created for myself and helped other people to be able to do that and formalized it and turned it into a university. We have students on 5 continents now.
Wow, that rocks and rolls. Now, when did you come up with this idea? Was it over a long period of time, or did you get an aha moment in the gym one day?
Well, after I'd lost everything, so I built up a pretty substantial portfolio of real estate in the 80s, and when the crash of 89, 90, 91 came, I call it the death spiral. I lost all my real estate, filed bankruptcy, went through a nasty divorce, had 2 young kids, and I ended up homeless. And I struggled with the fact that of everything that I lost, the most important thing was my self-esteem and my self-confidence. And that took a little while to figure out how to get up the gumption to try it again. And I went to an old friend who was a mentor early in my real estate investing career, and asked him if he could, direct me. I said, I'm embarrassed to say I really don't know how to get back on my feet again. The real estate game has changed. And, my dad used to say unfulfilled expectations create disappointment. I went to him with an expectation. I didn't realize that, but early in my real estate career, he kind of put his arm around me, figuratively speaking, and showed me how to be successful in real estate. And I kind of thought he was going to do that again. That's what I hoped for anyway. And he didn't. Instead, he said, he asked me a question. He said, have you ever read the book Think and Grow Rich? And I said, sure. He said, how many times? I said, once. How many times you got to read a book? And so now I'm broke and a wise guy, which is not a good combination. Right? And so he didn't, I recall we were having coffee, and he didn't look amused. He just said, well, I think you should read it again because all the answers that you're looking for are in that book. And if you don't get it the second time, just keep reading it. Well, I've read that book, I guess I lost count maybe after 40 times. And right after that, I came up with my simple little idea that really got me back on my feet. So it was a combination of the success principles that are in that book, which is a philosophy, and by its nature, philosophy doesn't have a lot of how-to. I needed a technology to apply the philosophy, and I came up with what I call the 3 simple steps of success. I created a vision for myself. I turned that into a blueprint, the specific and measurable outcomes for each aspect of my life that were important, like my health and my personal finances and my relationships. And then I put an execution plan together, and kind of like building a house. You
Right.
get a picture in your mind of the house, and then you put a blueprint together, and then you execute on the blueprint. It's not rocket science, but it's worked for hundreds of people, actually more than hundreds of people, thousands of people all over the world now.
Yeah, it's amazing that Don and we met several years ago, and we've ended up with the same mentor, Bernie Dorman. And Bernie is Napoleon's nephew, we like to say. He calls him Uncle Nappy. Isn't it odd that that's one of our favorite books? Prior to meeting each other, that was one of our favorite books. Now we've got the same mentor with the same group who was connected to that book when it was written. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Absolutely. Yeah. When I met Bernie, I had not written my first book yet, and he encouraged me to do so. And within 6 weeks of meeting him and having the opportunity to be mentored by him like yourself, I had my first book published on Amazon. And we have a second book out now, which both books are called LifeWorks. The first one is called How I Lost Everything and Found My Life's Purpose. And the second one is Stories of Transformation from Around the World. And that's actually a compilation book that was written by 11 of my students. They each wrote a chapter.
Oh, cool. Let me ask you about the first book. When you got the idea to do the book, how long did it take you to get it finished from start to finish?
Well, I had the luxury of being able to have, all of my time to myself. So I literally sat down and just emptied my brain onto paper for about 5 weeks. Inside of that time, I had a cover design. I gave the manuscript to, I had hired actually several editors because as you know, different
Yes.
editors do different kinds of things, formatting, spelling, and grammar, and things like that. So I had several editors work through it when I was done, and within 6 weeks it was up on Amazon. But that's record time.
Wow, that's so good. I think the average for me is 9 months. I still go through traditional publishing, and I'm on book. Mine comes out in a few weeks. I'm on book 6 or 7. But having dyslexia, it's funny to talk to a fellow publisher or author because it takes me. Because I have so much trouble reading. I will write out an outline that is 50, 60 pages, and then I go back and fill it in.
Yeah.
To work with me, it can be maddening on a book because I can't read all the words. My writing's incredibly bad, and so I have to have somebody with me the entire time to do the book.
Yeah, for me it was just emptying out my life story. So I really didn't expect it to be anything except sort of a chronicle of what happened to me, where I came from, and what I was able to accomplish. I'm actually, as you know, finishing up my PhD this year, and my last book, I will get some editorial assistance to be able to make sure that it's not just in sort of common language, that it has a lot more character, not textbook quality,
Right.
but a lot more quality to it as far as writing, because. Again, as you know, there's authors and then there's writers, and seldom the two are the two inside of one person. So the author is the person with the story. The writer is the person with the technical skills to be able to tell that story in a way that resonates with people. So I'm definitely the author of the story, but I need some writing assistance. I'm not the best writer in the world. I can string a sentence together, but that's about it.
Yeah, let me ask you this question with your PhD. Did they let you count any of your previous books as part of your PhD ending final?
Actually, yeah. Fortunately for me, I looked around. I was a C student in high school. That was on a good day. There weren't a lot of good days, quite frankly, and I just barely made it through. Some of my teachers, I suspect, thought I had a learning disability because I just couldn't pay attention. I just was trying to escape and get out to work. So I didn't do it in school because I didn't really understand the value of it. But I went back to school at night and struggled through over the years. And when I decided to get my PhD, what I decided to do was do it all online because I was doing a lot of traveling internationally for speaking. And I found a school that is internationally acclaimed, and they encourage you, instead of writing a thesis, to actually write a book. Well, since I started my PhD about 4 years ago, I've written 2 books, and then I've been a co-author in 2 other books. But I need to write my capstone, which is what I'm in the process of now, and that's the one I was saying I was going to get a little more help. And then I've done all self-publishing, unlike yourself. I'm going to this time I'm going to go traditional publishing. And fortunately, the school has a course that teaches you how to get your book published in the traditional world.
Oh, cool. Man, that rocks. I'll probably have to talk to you about it. I never went back and finished mine. My best friend went and got 3, and she's still mad at me for not getting my first. All right, this is Don Cote. Let me go ahead and give you this website so you can get in touch with Don, lifeworksuniversity.com. Don, can you stick around for one more segment?
I sure can.
Okay. When we get back, I'm going to have Don talk about the university some, talk about the new book that has just come out, and talk about how he can help you. Think about it. C student, now finishing his PhD, written numerous books, already ahead. Think about your life, what you can accomplish, and what God's got waiting for you. You just got to go get it. If you got questions for me or for Don, questions at scottferrell.com, 706-889-9700. Don's going to stick around. I'm going to stick around. He's Don Cote. I'm Scott Ferrell. We'll be right back.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
Introducing Pizza Hut's first $5 flavor menu. Just $5 each when you order 2 or more. Say yes to a medium one-topping pizza. Yes to Wing Street Wings. Yes to new stuffed garlic knots. And much more. It's easy to say yes to our first ever $5 flavor menu. Only at Pizza Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
The 50-50 sale is back at Schottenkirk Ford. 50 trucks must go in the next 50 hours. Shop over 250 trucks in stock and starting as low as $79.95. And there's several more on the lot just like it. Yes, 50 trucks must go, and not just Fords. We have all the best makes and models. You have 50 hours to cash in on huge savings. Don't miss our 50-50 sales event at Schottenkirk Ford in Jasper. Online at SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
While the best athletes gather to compete, the rest of us gather to eat. Pizza Hut's Big Flavor Dipper is here. Almost 2 feet of pizza with 4 flavorful dipping sauces. Big enough to feed the whole team for a small price, just $12.99. The Big Flavor Dipper Pizza, only at Pizza Hut.
The summer sell-down is on at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. And if you like to save, the time is now. Get a brand new Chevy Malibu for just $19,700. Loaded Silverado Crew Cab LT, just $33,500. Or a new 2017 Equinox from just $23,700. Days has bonus savings on every new Chevy. But time is running out. Don't miss the summer sell-down at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for being part of my day. You got your coffee, you got your tea, You're relaxed. All right, good. You're relaxed. Now you can absorb everything that Don's got to say. LifeWorksUniversity.com is the destination. You're going to want to go by and check that out. Also, while you're on Facebook, type in Donald Cote. Go by, like his Facebook page, check out what's going on there. Great family man. But now, Don, since you're with me, I want to talk about something. I want to talk about the new book because it's connected to your PhD study, Human Resilience. For one, you don't have a title, I doubt yet, but what is the premise of the whole book and what are some of the things we can expect?
One of the number one skills for anybody to develop is the ability to get back up when we're knocked down because, let's face it, when you get past about 12 years old, you're going to get knocked down, and you're probably going to get knocked down several times in life, sometimes in a small way, sometimes in a very big way. For me, the first time was in my 20s when I lost everything. I had developed $1 million portfolio of real estate. My dad used to say the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and it was pretty hard. I lost all the real estate, filed bankruptcy, went through a terrible divorce, and ended up homeless. And so after having it all, starting with nothing, it was very painful. And that what I've noticed is so many people, a large percentage of the population, when we go through a period like this last recession, 2008 through 2012, they get knocked down. They lose their home, and then they're embarrassed, and they lose their self-esteem, their self-confidence, their self-worth, and they just never get back up again. And, my message is that it's possible to get back up. You just need to have the skills. You need to surround yourself with the right kinds of people so that you create an environment for yourself that's nurturing. So many people go in the other direction. They become recluse. They become secluded from everybody else. And you need to be around people that are positive and upbeat like you,
right.
That can keep them buoyed up long enough for them to get their self-esteem back up again. The number one skill that anybody can develop for lifelong success is the skill of building your self-confidence, and it's like a muscle. You just have to work at it every day to keep growing it.
Oh yeah, and with you've included people in this book, correct?
In which one? The first one or the second one?
Second one.
The second one is all written by I wrote the foreword and the afterword, but each of the 11 chapters are written by one of my students and from somewhere in the world, and they wrote about a particular transformation that they had. But the theme that runs throughout the book is that they didn't have the self-confidence to achieve whatever they achieved that they talked about in their chapter until they went through LifeWorks. Then they got the tools that they needed to be able to build up their self-confidence. What human beings can do is absolutely astonishing. What they usually do is disappointing, relatively speaking, and the only difference really is self-confidence.
Let me ask you this question, and I don't want to spoil the book because I know it's a different animal, and I can't always include stories from mine either. Is there one in particular, one story that you could tell in a minute or two that would capture someone's imagination right now and spur them on to do something?
Yeah, there's a young man in Great Britain, originally from Nigeria. He was educated in Great Britain. When I met him, he was 18 years old, and we did all of our training through video conferencing online. So I hadn't met him. He went through the course. He had decided, I guess very early in his childhood, that he liked to tinker with things, so he was going to become a mechanical engineer. And when I met him, he was in his second year of university in the UK in London. And by the time he had finished LifeWorks 6 months later, and when he wrote his chapter, he was getting professional contracts for modeling. He did runway work. He was on book covers, magazine covers, and he was featured in 2 films. He was in Peter Pan when they remade Peter Pan, and the other one escapes me at the moment. But he did. He had the ability, he had the looks, he had the skills. He just didn't have the self-confidence to move in that direction. And as we worked together, he did that, and now he travels around the world. He actually flew here to meet me and thank me personally.
Oh, cool. All right, Don, let me see this. You and I are in our 50s. If we concentrate hard enough, do you think GQ will let us be on the cover?
maybe you, Scott. I don't have the hairdo.
People ask me all the time, is it too late? I said, let me explain something to you. Sometimes those opportunities can be closed off. Now, other opportunities are coming up. I said, but me getting the cover of GQ magazine or playing in the NBA, I told somebody the other day, I'm going to play in the NBA. I can play harmonica. I can play in the band. I can do something on the floor, but I'm never going to suit up and play. All right, let me ask you this question, and this is tied more to marriage. The transitions you went through before you met your wife, Gabriella, did they help you really become, and I know you guys have a phenomenal relationship. Why? Because you're friends of mine. Did that help you catapult into being a much better husband?
Yeah, I actually used the same strategies. I had been single for about 7 years and used the same strategies to figure out who I was at my core, what the values are that I cherished. And that's what I call compatibility. When you find someone who has those same values, who cherishes those same things in life, and you match up. You don't have to like the same music or even the same food necessarily, but you have to think the same way about money, about sex, about friendships, family, those kinds of things. There's only probably about, and you counsel on this and you're a master at this, I think there's probably a handful, 5 or 6 of those values that need to match in order for you to have a tremendously happy relationship. And if they don't, then people struggle because they're trying to fix the other person when the other person really doesn't need to get fixed. They just think differently about it. And so I was fortunate enough to have quite a bit of time on my hands in airports and in hotel rooms by myself when I was traveling intensively for that 7 years to ask myself those questions about myself. And then when I had an opportunity to meet a woman and talk with her and get to know her, I could pretty much instantly tell whether there was a match or not. And when I met Gabriella, we talked about those things for 3 days. And within a week, I bought her a diamond, and within 5 weeks, we were married. And we just passed 5 years, and every day gets better.
Yeah, it's amazing. I talked to Don. I met Don before I met Gabriella, and I'd heard about this wonderful, absolutely wonderful woman. And now every time I see her, I just feel better about me every time I see her. And every time I'm in Vegas, I have to see her. It's like a drug now between me and our friend Saville. And we have to see Gabby or my days are wrecked. But it really is true. The two of you guys gel, and you've got it in your relationship. Now, if you were talking to a guy that's in his 20s now and he's single, what's the one thing you would tell him about dating?
Well, that person would be my son. He just turned 30.
Cheater.
And, he's quite successful in every way. He makes a great living. He drives exotic cars. He just bought himself an $850,000 house. But what he does call me about for advice is women. And my advice is really always the same. Know thyself. I tell him it's not about finding the right mate. It's about being the right mate. When you're completely comfortable with yourself, you're happy with who you are and how you live your life, you're whole and complete and happy and fulfilled, that woman who matches you in all those values is going to be the icing on the cake. I hear all these love stories, love songs and poetry and everything about, you complete me. And it worries me that people actually believe that. I don't believe that. I believe you need to be complete all by yourself in order to be the right mate for somebody else. You need to become the person you can't live without.
Oh, yeah, 100%. All right, so we wind up. Go to lifeworksuniversity.com. Don, we've got about 30 seconds. What's one thing you want to let everybody know about life?
Well, there's if you go to LifeWorks University, there's a little video of me in the middle welcoming you to the site. Right below that, if you click on that, you can take a free class. You don't even have to put in your email address, anything. It's about 16 minutes altogether, and that'll give you a really good idea about what LifeWorks University might be able to do for you.
Cool. He is Don Cote. Go by his Facebook page, Donald Cote, or you can go by lifeworksuniversity.com. Check out his brand new book coming out. Go ahead and get the first book he's got out, and stay tuned on what's going on. Don, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Hey, Scott, it's been great. Thanks very much for having me.
All right, Don Cote, lifeworksuniversity.com. I'm Scott Ferrell. I'll be right back with your questions and the mailbag.